Joining us right now is EY Global Chairman Mark Weinberger. Mark, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to see you.
And I know you're doing a panel, or you did a panel already, but you know the firm in 152 countries, 250,000 people, and you speak with CEOs all the time. So what are you hearing from those executives, managers of businesses, in terms of what they're doing right now? What's the sentiment?
Well, Maria, it's kind of, we've talked about this over the years. It's not getting better, unfortunately. I think the unprecedented uncertainty around the world, whether it be geopolitical uncertainty, changing regulatory environments, you know, what's going on in Brazil, what's going on, maybe a Brexit, what's going on, you know, in China, hard landing or not, U.S. new regulations all the time. You know, how do you invest? Where do you invest? So what we've seen is, and what we've done, you look at, there's a CapEx reduction in spending. So for the fourth year in a row, we're seeing businesses pause on their major investments. And obviously, that's the R&D of the future. So if we don't have CapEx expenditure, where's the growth going to come from? The other thing you're seeing is a lot of M&A still. You know, last year was a banner year, biggest year we've had for M&A. This year, still 50% of companies, according to our capital confidence barometer we just put out, is basically looking at doing M&A, either to grow because there's no growth, or to get synergies to reduce costs to get the bottom line up, or to change your business model because of all that's going on in the world.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, because when you can't grow and you don't see growth, you acquire growth. But I want to get back to the CapEx part of this story, because we've been waiting for businesses to start investing in a big way, a sustainable way, for a long time. They're not doing it because of uncertainty. They're uncertain about the election, certainly, and tax reform.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So we have productivity growth of 0.5%. We saw the first quarter in the U.S. very poor. I think, you know, everyone's just waiting to see how this election will settle out, what role will the U.S. play in the world. Major policy initiatives, tax reform has been on the table. Democrats, Republicans all agree it's necessary. You need to get a more competitive tax system, yet you can't do it. And you've got these companies who are going overseas. They want to provide for them to stay here with more lower rates and broader base. But you're absolutely right. We haven't been able to even get it to the starting line, never mind the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that this has at least been done already, but we're just seeing more regulations, and they're not actually going to the source, like the regulations on inversions, you know, stopping companies from going overseas. But let me ask you about the workforce, because we're looking at this video of these protesters. Do you expect a disruption in terms of the workforce on the horizon? You've said that the job you're going for today probably won't exist in 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, and when out at the World Economic Forum this year, they talked about there'll be a $7 million job loss, a $2 million job increase, net loss of 5 million of employees. And they're different employees. So, you know, even us at EY, right? So we hired 60,000 people this past year. We have almost 250,000 people. We know over time artificial intelligence, robotics will come in and change what we need in our workforce. It won't replace workers. That's not going to happen. But some workers will have to get new skills and having to move into different roles. We're not spending the time to really think about what those issues are. The big issues like that are not on the presidential agendas.
Yeah, we're going to get the jobs number out this week. What's the one most important element that you think changes the needle, moves the needle on economic growth? What's most important, do you think? Because we've been sort of bumping along the bottom for a long time now.
We have. I really think it's going to take certainty. I think after this election, you're going to know you're going to have a president. It's not just the president. You're going to have a new Congress. Is it going to remain Republican? Is it going to shift to Democrat? Are we going to see rules that are going to start to tackle tax reform? Are we going to get a trade deal in the lame duck session, which we really would hope so? We have a president. We have a leader of the House and Senate. All want the TPP, even though we know there's not a lot of support for it amongst the candidates today. Is that going to get done? These issues are really big issues that have a huge effect on business, and they're just piling up.
They sure are. Mark, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks
for getting up early for us. Mark Weinberger, EY Chairman.